Yeah, about that thing called walking by faith. Walking by faith is a real thing. Hmm. So often I have no clue of what walking by faith is, and we say it's like, we talk about it, we hear about it in church, and then you do it, and then it's like you have no clue of what you're doing. Absolutely none. Whew, me and my husband been walking by faith for over 2 years on this house situation, building a custom home, and it's in Florida. Had we known what we had to go through, would we have done it all over again? I can say it was meant for us to do because during the process, we learned so much. We really learned what faith is. And there's even been times when I have doubted, we have doubted. We said, guess what? We should have bought something else. We should have just bought a home. But faith takes a lot of trust, belief that what you're doing is going to come to pass. There have been days where we have thought and we said, yeah, like I said, we came up with a semi-sorta plan B. But in order to get what it is that you're believing for, you got to stand on that plan A. And so it is man, it's a tough thing to stand by faith, to believe by faith. But guess what? I don't have a daughter named Faith Divine for no reason. Naming somebody Faith Divine, first of all, I'm gonna go through and she gonna go through, but in the end it will be worth it. We have been walking by faith, as I said, on this custom build in Florida. We had no clue. Walking by faith is really walking blind, because we chose a lot and bought a lot in Florida sight unseen, like for real. And had no clue of the process involved. We ain't talked to nobody. One thing I do encourage is to do your homework. Do your homework, but then, some of this is necessary, because if we had done our homework, we wouldn't have built a home in Florida, because the process is daunting. When I tell you the whole wetland thing, like, we didn't even know that was a thing. I'm just thinking like, okay, we currently live in Illinois. Illinois, you buy a lot, you build your house. It's just not that serious to have to go through a whole process of figuring out what wetlands is. You buy the land. We bought the land in 2022 and have had to pay taxes on it, pay for all these surveys, pay for all these architectural things, site and drainage plans, and still the lot has been paid for, but we still got to pay now extra money for mitigation of our own land, because there's wetlands on there. And you don't even know what I'm talking about when I say wetlands. Most of you won't, because I don't know. When I tell you that's what the faith has been for us, we don't even have a clue. Didn't even have a clue. Didn't even know who to reach out to. And when I tell you the right people have come, God has really sent the right people. Walking by faith, when they say opens up the right doors, they do. We have a lady who is doing like a lot of the process for us and connected us to some of the best people who can help us. We've gone through trying to find, as far as builders, contractors, probably maybe 4. And so it's a whole process that we knew nobody. We don't know nobody in Florida. Like, we chose Florida. And when I say this is truly a blind, like we was walking like this. This how the whole process was. Because none of this we knew about. We just decided we wanted to build a custom home. Who does that, right? Like, we could have got a home that already, kind of cookie cutter home where they're building different residential areas, but we didn't want that. No, we wouldn't want that. We want it to be unique to us. And when I say this home is going to be unique to us, where we live, there is no home like that. And that's what our builder said. It's going to be different for sure. You think we went through this thing for it not to be different? Oh, we're going to stand out. We're going to show the power of God for sure. It will be a home that people will stop and look at and be like, they're going to know God's anointing is all on it. Oh, my goodness. Like, we got to prove today. So, we bought the land in, I want to say June or July-ish. And here it is, September 5th, because dates mean something. September 5th, which is my daughter Faith Divine's birthday, the actual resubmittance of this final, we had a final time to submit our plans, and after that we weren't going to be able to build. So it was submitted on September 5th. Listen at that. Faith Divine submitted that and still had to wait all this time. Did not get approval until actually yesterday, but we found out today. So yeah, it's been a process. It's been more than a process. It has been, I've learned so much through this. I have grown so much through these 2 years of wait. I'm learning patience, something I told God I'll never pray for, and he knew that. And in spite of that, he took me through it anyway. Like, you ain't gonna pray for it, but I'm gonna give it to you, because where you're going, you're gonna need it. And so all I can say is I'm grateful. I am grateful for this long journey. Sometimes it is the long route, and the long route is what you need. And you have to continue to believe, because if you let doubt in, like we almost did. We saw a house when we had, I believe we had already purchased the land, but we would have sold the land. We saw this house, had pretty much everything we wanted. It had a whole pond on it. It was 2 acres, 2.5 acres, and it was amazing. That sucker sold within 2-3 days before we could put an offer in. That's how we knew it was God, because with that being shut down like that, we was like, okay, that's not for us. It didn't happen for us, so it wasn't for us. So we had to go through this process. Now that I'm looking back, right, as they say, hindsight is 20/20. Looking back, we had to go through this process. This process has helped me and my husband to grow closer, to learn more about each other, to have more dependence upon each other, to pray together, to come together, to believe together, to touch and agree together, and let God do his thing. Through the midst of it all, us being blindfolded, not knowing, first of all, we ain't have no clue, because we didn't even have a builder, so we had no clue of what it was going to cost us to even build the house. Check that out. But we kept walking by faith, because we knew that it was for us. We kept walking, even though we hadn't even sold our house yet, and didn't know what we were going to get with the house that we sold. We didn't know how much it was going to cost to build this custom home. And yeah, when we saw the prices, we was like, okay. But we kept believing anyway. And we kept walking. Because when we found out what the price was, we could have said, that's a little bit steep, right? Like, who's going to pay for that? But we already know we going to pay for it. You know, we're going to get out here because God said he gives you the power to get wealth. And we're going to continue to get wealth. And we're going to be able to pay for the house just fine, right? We're going to have excess. In fact, the doors are going to be open to where we'll have an excessive amount of money. That mortgage or whatever, you know, it's not going to be long. We ain't going to be paying for it for no 30 years. Nope. I've already been studying on ways to pay it off well before 30 years. I'm looking at like 8 to 10 years, you know. So, like I said, this journey has been strengthening. What I'm saying to you is, if you're believing for something and you really believe that God told you that this is for you, stand on it. And all hell is going to break loose. That's all I can say. All hell is going to break loose. You're not going to feel like this is God because it's strange territory. You have no clue. But what we have gone through, now we can share our testimony with somebody else and help somebody else and let them know prior to them building, right? Like, we now have like a whole roadmap to be able to help someone else who wants to build and share with them, you know, some ins and outs and some tricks of the trade because we went through it. Not to discourage them, to help them to stand and believe. When you believe that God is all powerful, that he can do exceedingly abundantly above all that you think or even ask, and stand on that, no matter what comes against you, and know that no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. Oh, the weapon is going to form. And did we have some weapons that formed? Yes, indeed, they formed. But I'm here to say, today is October 18th, 2024. 2 years and some months later, no weapon that formed against us prospered. Continue to stand in faith, walk in faith, believe, continue to believe. Continue to believe. All things are possible with God. All things are possible with God. God ain't gonna do it. There are things that you have to do along the way, but you got to trust God that he's going to lead you to who exactly you need to be led to. He's going to open exactly the right doors. He's going to back you while you're walking blindfolded. Imagine being blindfolded and walking. God is saying, take the step, right? And continue to believe. Take the step. I got you. Take another step. You can't see. I can't see. I don't know where I'm going. I got you. Listen for my voice. That's what he's saying. Listen for my voice. Stop trying to see everything. I got you. Trust in me. Believe what I'm telling you to do. That's what he's saying. That's what he told us. And 2 years, that's baffling to me. Because it was like I say, I think it was July we closed on it, July of 2022. July, August, September, October. 3 numbers mean something. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. 2 years, 3 months later, we have an approval. All by faith. Because we believed in something that seemed impossible. We didn't even know. We didn't even know, first of all, that we could build a custom home, that we would even qualify, both being self-employed. That was a whole process in and of itself. Both being self-employed. but we couldn't just focus on that. We had to do what task was in front of us. So walking by faith, you're going to have a number of things that you have to do along the way. Just do it. Do it. Pray about it. Know, when you know God's voice, sometimes it won't make sense what he'll tell you to do. But if you sense him and know that it's him, and I say no because sometimes you don't know, but you got to know that it's a peace inside of me. I believe with all in me that God is leading and guiding us this way. That is what we did along this process. And yeah, we really could write a book about this whole process. And so will you along your faith journey. But the point is, continue to walk by faith and you will see what you believe. What you believe is what you're going to see. It may not come overnight. We live in such a microwave time, air fryer time. We want it done immediately, right? Immediately. We want it done. Oh, God said it, so why can't it be done like that? It's not how it works. Because along the way, there are things he's trying to work on in you. He's trying to build you. He's trying to build your character. He's trying to prepare you for whatever it is that you are asking for. And so that takes time. That takes time. It's not something that will come overnight for the most part. Faith is helping you. Walking by faith is building you. It's helping you become that person who can manage and maintain, so you don't just get the thing and then you lose the thing. No, you'll have the endurance, you'll have the strength, you'll have the knowledge, the wisdom, you'll have whatever it takes to keep it. Walk by faith. It's tough. It's tough being blindfolded, but that will cause you to listen. My God, listen. And then he led me to do 5 minutes of listening a day. All of it works together. That's what his word says. All things work together for the good of those who are called by the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. If it is his purpose, it's going to all work together. And so now I do a 5-minute listening thing every day to listen for God's voice, to be able to hear what he is saying for you. We got to get quiet and still. When you're talking and moving and constantly just on the go, you're not listening. You're not able to hear. And so now I see, man, it's at the end of the thing when it makes sense, when you can see. And now I see why some of these things that didn't make sense now make sense. Whew, my God. Yep. I shouted. I yelled. I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that I have this testimony to share with you all, because the same way I have a testimony, me and my husband have a testimony, you will have a testimony too. If you endure to the end, if you continue to walk by faith, don't throw the towel in when it gets hard. That's when you're close. You know, the thing with the blindfold is you don't know how close you are. Your eyes are covered, but you got to keep hearing that voice. And sometimes hearing the voice is not always, you don't always hear him up close. Sometimes it may be a whisper. Sometimes it may be loud, but you don't always hear it real loud and clear. It's not always loud and clear, but you got to keep walking anyway. This is what I feel I'm supposed to step here, you know, and God will guide you. So I hope this was encouraging to you all, you know, and I hope that when you have your testimony, you share it, because that's what helps other people. That's what gives people hope. That's what lets them know that if he did it for you, He can do it for me, right? If God did it for me, he is no respecter of persons. You can also be a recipient of whatever you are believing for, but you got to keep believing. You can't give up. So keep on believing, walking by faith divinely. I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all soon with more updates. All right? Bye-bye.